All right, proclamations. I'm going to kick off our proclamation, and it's somewhat timely. If anyone saw the co-star, Belmar newspaper record, there was a lovely article about our municipal clerk, Claudia, and in this past week, she held back from expressing her true views of me, but overall I thought it was very positive. So, whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful in their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of municipal clerk. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar do recognize the week of May 1st and May 7th, 2016 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend our appreciation to our clerk, Claudia, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform in their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. So let's hear it for April Claudia. And I will tell you, on top of being our municipal clerk, April also has many other tasks that we continue to pile on top of her regarding building, zoning, and housing, and everything else. Planning board, zoning board, she literally does it all for us, and she does an amazing job, so thank you, April. Next, we have a proclamation regarding Arbor Day.
Okay, I'll read that. Here's a proclamation by the Mayor and Council of Belmar proclaiming April 29th as Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton, you know that little blue box of salt, Morton's salt, proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. Whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees on April 10th, 1872 in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2016 as Arbor Day in the Borough of Belmar. And the Mayor and Council hereby urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Thank you. Next is our workshop discussion. Only thing we have to add on is Lieutenant Thomas Cox is here to talk about the special needs registry here in Monmouth County. If you don't mind coming up and just explaining to the council what that entails. And I also know that you have some information, if there's anyone in the audience who wants to come up and get information up later.
Yes, I have some extra flyers up here. The registry is eligible to any person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities due to physical and/or intellectual disability. It's a free program. You can register online. The website is here. Our liaison is Patrolman Mike Allen. Whatever information gets filtered through the website gets sent to us, and then we load it into our computer system in case there's an emergency at someone's residence or at a school, they can register if they go to school here. That information will also be forwarded to the first aid and the fire department, whatever relevant information that we get for the registration, and they will have the relevant facts in case we do get a call to their home, whether it be first aid or fire or just us responding. So it's a free program. It's a collaboration through the prosecutor's office, Monmouth County Sheriff's Department, and Monmouth County Police Chiefs Association. So it's a great program. All officers are wearing pins for a month to kick off the program. We'll have those on our shirts. And as of yet, we have not one person registered yet, but we're hoping that it will pick up.
All right, that's something we should probably do, reverse 911 on.
Yeah.
Because I know they would have families with children and young adults with special needs.
Yeah, it could be adults too, in case, someone's confined to a
Is it
certain.
all ages, or is it?
Yes, all ages, any type of disability or
Like if
impairment.
somebody was wheelchair bound? or
Wheelchair
oxygen?
bound, we would know about it, it would be registered in our system, they're gonna upload photographs, any type of video possibly in the house that might aid us in assisting someone, so.
I have a question, what about if somebody's just temporarily disabled? I mean, say they're wheelchair bound?
Absolutely. I would,
Tim?
it's all voluntary, they can, register, and it's a great tool for us and emergency responders. Who
Absolutely.
get a call, we have tons of information to go on in case somebody needs assistance in the house.
Okay.
Like I said, if they go to school here, but you don't have to live here, but if you attend the school here, you can also register too. So in case we get a response to the school, we can aid them too.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably something to bring to Belmar Elementary School.
You know, the apply, I know I have one already, but I wouldn't get another one.
Yeah, it's an online registration. The website's on there. They also get a hold of Patrolman Mike Allen through his email. They can call here and they can talk to him more about the program.
So Patrolman Mike Allen is a liaison?
He's our liaison, and Kenneth Child is our fire department liaison, and Louis Anderson is our first aid liaison. So we're all going to be connected together with whatever information we receive. So. And there's extra flyers here, like I said, for anybody who wants to look at it. They also can go online and take a look at it too. So.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant. Appreciate it a lot. Any other items for workshop from members of the council? No?
No.
All right, any petitions for the council? No petitions. All right, next, entertain approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes. I move that the minutes of the meeting held on April 19th, 2016 be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Councilman Blackburn? Yes. Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay? Yes. Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Next are reports of council. Council President Brown,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're up.
I'm up. I'd just like to, good news that the Historical Society has announced that all the copies of the Coast Advertiser that were printed have now been successfully digitalized so that you could go to the museum on 9th Avenue and E Street and type in a word, let's say, Belmar School Principal, 1933, and it would bring up who the principal in Belmar Elementary School was in 1933. There is a wealth of information coming from those newspapers that go all the way back to the 1800s. I think as far back as like 1880 sometime. So that's good news that they've been put on computer. Now, earlier I read the proclamation for Arbor Day because the Shade Tree Commission is working towards getting Belmar to be announced a Tree City USA. Those of you that remember coming to the meetings back as far as 2003, 2004, and 5, Belmar was a tree city. We've lost that designation because we have not been keeping up with our management plan. So we are working on getting that issued to Belmar again. There's a lot of work to it. One of them was to get a proclamation announced at a council meeting. The other was to hold an Arbor Day program, which we did last week at both elementary schools for the 4th grade. What we did, there were 60 fourth graders from Belmar Elementary. We gave them a little program, talked about trees, why they're beneficial to the environment. We gave them each a Norway spruce, a 1-year-old Norway spruce. Then we took this fourth grade out to the front of Belmar Elementary, and we had our DPW workers put in a 10-foot oak tree. An oak tree is the state tree of New Jersey. And then each student took a shovel full of dirt and filled it in so they can claim that they planted the tree. And we did the same for St. Rose. There were 40 students in St. Rose's fourth grade class, each given a Norway spruce. And then we walked down to Silver Lake, and there was a 10-foot oak tree, same situation in Belmar Elementary, and they planted it. So it's to get our students in Belmar with the idea that how trees are important to our environment. Again, this all leads up to getting Belmar designated as a Tree City USA. If we get that, we're eligible for grants that will give us trees that we can replant in Belmar between the sidewalk and the curb at a very, very minimal cost. And that's good for our environment. We've lost a lot of trees over the years, and the Shade Tree Commission, of course, would like to get them back. On a side note, two Saturdays ago, I went up to Paramus for a day-long seminar on shade tree core training. And on my way back, I stopped at a mall where my debit card got hacked, and someone enjoyed going to Home Depot in Nyack, New York. So, yes, so that made for a real bad Saturday. Yes, but that's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Elect.
Yes, I'm next. Last week, one afternoon, there was a hearing by the BPU concerning the New Jersey natural gas 24% rate hike that they would like. I was there and ran into our mayor there also. We both spoke, and we both spoke against this rate hike for the natural gas. I was really surprised because while I was still there was a councilman from another town, and he was speaking for it. So I was kind of shocked. We don't want to see anybody's rates go up for gas or electric or their taxes. So we were speaking for all of you, trying to dissuade the BPU from voting for this. The library on Tuesday the 17th at 10 a.m. will be holding a seminar. It's called 15-Minute Break, and it's on drug awareness. It will not be held in the library, it will be held here in the courtroom, and that's on Tuesday the 17th at 10 a.m. The following evening at 6:30, the same seminar will be in the library downstairs. It's to talk with your children 15 minutes a day about drugs and drug awareness and why they should not be doing them. So it should be a good seminar. The group that's coming in is doing this all over the area, trying to get parents and grandparents and children aware of drugs. Safety Day is the 21st in the field between 12th and 13th Avenue. The ADA committee will be there, and something we're going to do is have an area where children and adults too, if they want to, can try on a disability. We're going to set up a small obstacle course and have a wheelchair, and people can go through the obstacle course in a wheelchair or on a walker or cane or something like that, and a couple of other things. We want children to be aware of what it's like if somebody else is disabled. Speaking of the ADA committee, you know that we have the mobility device exchange. We have quite a few walkers, quite a few canes, and quite a few, a couple of other things, but we are out of wheelchairs. If anyone has any gently used wheelchairs, we can certainly use it. And there again, if anybody needs a mobility device, you're more than welcome to give us a call, and they're going out on loan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This past Saturday, April 30th, the Sharper Cleanup Coalition had a cleanup. Several Belmar residents participated over on the Belmar side, including my friend Dave Taylor of 11th Avenue. Because it was low tide, they were able to get along the bulkheads by McCleary Park. As usual, according to Dave, they picked up some really interesting and quite a bit of trash. And he also wanted to extend through me his thanks and appreciation to the Department of Public Works for all their help with that cleanup. You would think you do a really good job one year, you would think next year the job might not be as big, but this is not the case. There's just so much stuff going in the river. And we're lucky to have so many people volunteer and organize these kind of things to help keep things cleaned up. The only other thing I have to mention is this past Friday, 2 weeks ago, 22nd, we had a talent show fundraiser at the Belmar Elementary School. It was open to students from all towns around, but 23 of the 25 acts were students from Belmar. I saw some really great talent, A couple of really familiar names were in there, including a couple of these children named Nicolay, who happened to win in their respective age categories. And the Belmar Eagle Band and Concert Chorus were able to raise about $1,300. So I want to say we appreciate everyone's participation, all the support. Okay, thank you. That's my report.
Just want to start that I had gone with my son and his Tiger Scout troop to help clean First and Second Ave Beach and along the inlet. What was interesting was part of the Clean Ocean Act, we had pieces of paper where we had to tally everything we picked up, and it was just amazing. There was so much styrofoam, beer bottles, bottle caps, etc. Cigarette butts were everywhere. In fact, I kept telling my son, pick up that cigarette butt, that cigarette butt, that cigarette butt. He said, why are you putting the word butt at the end of every cigarette? He didn't know that it was called that. Anyway, but it was great. We tallied a ton of items, but please be very conscious about being on the beach and littering. The BBP, we have a commercial that we did last year that we're rolling out again. It's called Belmar, It's That Good. Begins mid-May and will run through August 8th. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's great. It's on Facebook and it's going to be on News 12. 157 commercials will run, and it advertises our restaurants, Main Street, Marina, our beach, and it really is a great commercial that an agency put together for us. BAC, Belmar Art Center, there's a youth art show called Texture, TXTR. Grades 6 through 12 can participate. It opens next week, May 11th through the 27th. Please participate if you can, if you're 6th through 12th grade. They also have a Weave Your Own Basket with Mary, Saturday, May 7th, 10 to 4 p.m. Only 3 seats left. I actually took a basket weaving course there, and it was a lot of fun. It takes a bunch of hours, but it's worth it. Thanks to all those who attended and assisted with the art walk. Special thanks to Mary Brabazon, Colleen Conley, and DPW and the mayor for getting it set up and helping advertise it. We continue to expand this event every year, and we have more artists and visitors than ever. I attended myself, went up and down Main Street into Piano Plaza, and I spoke to a lot of the vendors, a lot of the store employees, and they were thrilled with the turnout, so that was great to hear. Lastly, Belmar Elementary School, May 2nd through May 6th is Teacher Appreciation Week. We are celebrating our hardworking and dedicated teachers by doing something special for them each day.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. I want to start off something that Council President Governor forgot to mention, but he wanted to mention. Our new chief has a son named Drew, and he's a great track and field athlete. He actually finished 19th at the most recent Penn Relays over the weekend with a shot put throw of 46.175, 46 feet, 1.75 inches. is a great thrill.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable. As Councilman Keo Blackmer mentioned, we were both at the hearing regarding the 24% increase in the gas rate, which we oppose adamantly. Most of the mayor of Monmouth County does. And it's a bipartisan effort. In fact, the entire Ocean County Freeholder Board and the fully Republican-controlled Monmouth County Freeholder Board also oppose it as well. So we're going to continue fighting that, and we'll see where it lands. I had the opportunity to go to the opening of the pier at the fishing club. This is a pier that was destroyed by Sandy, and it's taken them almost 4 years. But through a lot of effort and patience and money, they were able to finally get it reconstructed, which it really is a great addition to our town to have that there, and for them to rebuild it. It looks nice, even if you're not a member, like Jennifer. Never took you there. But you know, walking down the boardwalk, it's great to see something like that. It's pretty unique around here. Let's see what else. DJs this coming Friday. Rock for Autism. See Bill Levesque in the back. I want to thank you again for that. Great fundraiser that Frank Hines puts on. Raises a lot of money in a short amount of time. Home will be playing, so it gets a little loud, but that's all right. That starts at 6 o'clock, correct, Bill? Wow. Yeah, so 6 o'clock this Friday.
Doors at 5 for the seniors.
Gotcha. So yeah, so that's this coming Friday night. A really great event. Thank you again, Bill, for all DJs does for our community. You guys are a pretty remarkable business to have in town, so thank you. We have a lot going on. Give an update on the Taylor Pavilion. You hear a lot of banging going on during the day. Starts at 7:01. I have gotten complaints from some people that it starts at 7 o'clock, and I tell them it's 7 o'clock. You should get out of bed at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday. Don't be in bed at 7 o'clock. Yeah. Stop it. Hopefully they'll be done with the pilings at 5th Avenue, I believe Wednesday, Thursday this week, Mike. So that's great. I try to run as often as possible on the boardwalk, but I run much slower now, and I've been out there as often as I should. But a lot of people stop me and thank us for rebuilding it, how important it is for them. It means a lot. It's great to get that positive feedback. In fact, I'm going to read one thing. Received a note from a gentleman. Dear Mayor, I know the rebuilding of the pavilion is a special initiative of yours. Please accept our donation towards that project. Since Superstorm Sandy, you have taken tragedy and turned it into an opportunity. The new boardwalk, street lights, parking meters, and of course the pavilion are all examples of this. Thank you for all you do for our community. This is from Mike on 17th Avenue, and he gave us a check for $250. Unsolicited. Just saw what was going on, so I think it's indicative of the feeling in the community of seeing that finally get rebuilt and how positive people are about it. Ocean Avenue, people saw that it was closed down for a little while. The paving job is more or less complete, but they still have a punch list, it's called. There are some things that they still have to come back and fix. Some places where the water is pooling where it shouldn't, particularly on a brand new surface. And I can tell you that Mike Campbell is on top of it and is going to advocate and ensure that the county finishes it correctly. The marina, if anyone's been down there lately, you'll see the steel structures going up now for the framing of the building. They're starting to get moving on that at a pretty good clip. So that should be, it's on target for completion sometime maybe the beginning of next year, but certainly by this time next year, that building will be done. It's going to be fantastic when it's completed. The Anchor Tavern, also the same company, Chefs International. They're plugging away. You can see the new design they put on the front. Really makes it look nice. They should be done by Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. So they're starting to hum along now. 5th and Main Street redevelopment. We're going to have the developer, who's very familiar to the council, Barry DePep, He was here when Brian and I were down in DC one time, I guess it was back in March, and he's gonna come back the first meeting in June, which the first meeting in June is actually not gonna be on the first Tuesday, it's gonna be on the first Wednesday, or actually, no, second Wednesday. It'll be on June 8th, because June 7th is primary day. So we hold party elections in here, so it'll be taken until 8 o'clock. So they're gonna come back at the meeting on the 8th, with a redevelopers agreement and a financial agreement as well, and we'll see some numbers on it. I already saw some preliminary ones, and it's gonna be a beautiful building, but also it's gonna add significantly to our revenue that we generate in the pilot payment of the taxes. Also, two other redevelopment projects that Colleen and I have met with folks on will be coming as well this summer. And one of the things I met with the BBP, Belmar Business Partnership, this past week, or last week, and one of their concerns consistently is parking. So we're trying to work that in more often with the developers to add, not have simply parking for their own, but also to add into that as well, and work out some type of agreement with them on how we can add parking as these buildings get built. Next, rumors. Got some rumors out there. I haven't done rumors in a while. All right, rumor number one. Belmar is using money from the Lake Como project to fund Taylor Pavilion. Not true. Second rumor. I no longer work at MetLife. Not true. Third rumor, and this is really getting out there. This is some serious conspiracies. I am selling my house, which is true. I am selling my house. I am moving. Moving, I think, 80 feet. But I'm selling my house to Bob Cooper, who is the president of Chefs International, and he's overpaying for my house to kick me back money for him doing work at the marina.
Yeah.
Huh?
Also not true. I'm not selling my house to Bob Cooper. Selling it to someone else. It was actually going to be a nice family with a child. It's one of the things I think we need more of in town, more families with children. So yes, all three of those rumors, not true. I'm sure you're going to hear them. You're going to continue to hear them. And you can say, you know, Matt, tell me it's not true. And lastly, we have some people who call the Department of Environmental Protection. I don't know how else to put this, but try to get us in trouble for the work at the Taylor Pavilion, the Marina, and McCleary Park. And they also call on the Lake Como project. I got to tell you, at the Conference of Mayors this past week, I met with some of those DEPO. I mean, their question was, you know, what's wrong with these people? I don't have a good answer. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't explain what goes on in people's minds. But I will tell you that whoever's calling them is really, you're wasting your time. Aside from me and the DEP people having a good laugh at your expense, you know, I hope you can find something better to do with your life. And by the way, my life is really not that interesting. If you want to start spreading rumors, I focus on McGovern. He's got a lot more. He's got a lot more in his past, and you know, I mean, and I can tell you that Tom Brennan has a more exciting life than me as well. And the guy plays music, and no one really knows where. I think both Janice and Jen are more dull than me, so they're really not worth it. But I think Brian and Tom are better to focus on than me. But knock yourself out, I guess. So that's all for my report, but Jen Nicolay would like to add something to her report.
Yes, I completely forgot one of the most important things I wanted to mention, and that was the month of May is Paint the Town Pink. This is the third, fourth year, well, we've done it for a while, but this is the kind of past few years we've been really involved. Myself, Janice, and Claire Dykey are the co-chairs of it. We have a lot of events happening. We've got the ribbons up on Main Street. Thank you, Mike and DPW. We've got different businesses in town that are decorating outside of their businesses. There's going to be a contest for the best decorated business. We have on May 9th, we have an event in the gym with the Atlantic Wind Ensemble, starting at 7:30, and it's a wonderful event. I hope you can attend. We have different items that we have for donations. The Girl Scouts are also going to be attending. They painted shells from the beach, and they're beautiful. They're pink with the breast cancer ribbon, and they're going to ask for donations for them to give back to our breast cancer support group in town called Belmar Cares. Also on Wednesday, May 25th at 6 p.m., we are going to have an event called In the Pink. We had it last year. It was a huge success that Janice and Claire had put together. We're going to invite people in for free manicures and not pedicures, manicures and hair extensions. And then we will have a talk from Dr. Denise Johnson-Miller. She presented last year and she gave a talk on breast cancer and the importance of getting a mammogram. There were so many questions. It went way over than we thought, but everybody really got a lot out of it. It was extremely valuable. So we're having that again May 25th. And again, please feel free to decorate your homes, paint ribbons, anything you can, and just support this great cause. Again, the reason for it is to promote the importance of getting an annual mammogram. Myself and Claire are breast cancer survivors, and just because the mammograms themselves saved our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. That's all for our reports. Next is public session on our resolution. We're going to have two parts. We're going to have our resolution and then the consent agenda. I'll start off with the resolution. The first resolution we have, authorizing signing of a contract with the Borough of Lake Como for policing services. So I'll just paint some broad strokes as to what this is. Lake Como is looking to disband their police department, and by signing this contract, we would take on, or provide those services to them, and we would bill them for those services. The agreement we came to was 25% of whatever our police department costs annually. That's charged to the taxpayers of Belmar, and then plus whatever the specials are in Lake Como. That's done a la carte, and the number of specials, probably more class 2s than class 1s, I guess, but whatever the specials are, whatever that number is, that would be determined by the chief of police in Belmar, which is Drew Hines. Now, I heard some folks say, well, in Lake Como, they say, well, it shouldn't be 25%, it should be 20%, that Belmar's overcharging them. And then there's folks in Belmar who say, well, it should be 25%, it should be 30%. I guess you could make an argument in both ways, but at some point, we have to come to an agreement. We thought based on land size, population, calls of service, that 25% is an appropriate number. So it's 25%. Now that number is stagnant, it's a fixed number. So the number that Lake Como pays us will differ every single year, unless the police budget remains the same every year. More than likely that's not going to happen. Our downside is protected because of the specials. So if Lake Como goes from 20 specials to 40 specials, we bill them and they have to pay for it. If they go from 40 down to 25, we bill them and they pay for it. But that number is decided by the chief and they simply pay. What's more advantageous for us is the 25%. So as our police budget goes up, the amount that they would pay goes up. If by chance our police budget ever went down, then the amount that they would pay would go down as well. We're currently at 20 police officers. We probably really should have 22 as a community. Taking on this responsibility, we're going to go to 25. So if you think about what the real increase in personnel, it's really 3 more police officers. Now the numbers we have been working on were the 2015 numbers, that budget. And in that budget, hypothetically speaking, the Lake Como would pay us approximately $915,000. This year's budget is different, and next year's budget will be different as well. So in this year's budget, that number is going to go up but because it's prorated, we're not doing it for the full year, it's less than that. So if you look at our budget before, and that's why I wanted to wait till today to introduce it. Some other towns have introduced theirs already. And I'll get more on the budget later, but if you look at the budget beforehand, there's less expenses in our budget before we look at taking on the police department in Lake County, or before we take on the policing services. When we look at taking on those services, the expenses go up. Now, the revenue that Lake Como is going to pay us, the money they're going to pay us, the revenue that's generated from this contract, exceeds that number. Where you'll see that reflected in the budget is in the surplus. So we'll take out less surplus than we would have had if we didn't sign this contract. So financially speaking, this is very good for the residents in Belmar. It's good this year, and it gets progressively better in years 2017 and 2018 as we start billing them for a full year as opposed to only a partial. So financially, this is something that's going to be very good for the town. It'll be the largest source of revenue outside of property taxes, where we're able to add into the surplus and keep property taxes under control. Again, I don't want to get too far into property taxes, because we're going to talk about the budget in a minute, or a couple minutes after this. The other part is public safety. Public safety-wise, this is really a no-brainer for us to provide policing services in Lake Como. They are going to disband their police department. Wall did not respond to an RFP, Spring Lake did not respond to an RFP, only me did. If we don't provide those services, there's no other department to do it. Now, you could argue maybe the state troopers will come in and do it, maybe there'll be 1 or 2 state troopers there on a Tuesday night in the summer, or on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening in the summer, and then there'll be no one to actually investigate any of the crime going on. So if you live, particularly in the southern part of Belmar, call it 16th Avenue, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, North Boulevard, Surf, Snyder, A and B streets from 16th Avenue South, and on 16th Avenue, sort of from 71 East. This would have a devastating impact on your quality of life if there was no policing services in Lake Como. And I don't mean quality of life like some people complain about, oh, there were loud people walking in front of my house, or oh, someone left litter on my lawn. I'm talking about things that we don't want in our neighborhood. One of the problems every town has, no matter the demographics, no matter the income, is heroin. It's an awful, nasty drug in every community, the poorest and the richest. One of the things our police department does is we're very aggressive, and we are able to keep it to a point now where we don't have people distributing it. There are communities where it is distributed, and that's a problem. And the communities where it's distributed are communities that don't have a good policing department that can handle it. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what you would have in any town without a police department and no policing services. So you live on 16th Avenue, you're by Snyder, you're by B Street, that's what you would be contending with no one addressing it. And it absolutely happened. Your quality of life would plummet. So for those reasons, it's important. Now, there are a couple naysayers who say, oh, but what about response time? Response time is not going to differ. Our police department will be able to manage this no problem. Oh, well, what about if my child is going through something, has a medical issue, first aid can't get there fast enough? First aid has nothing to do with this. First aid is completely voluntary. If you don't think first aid is moving fast enough, I would recommend you call up Franny Hines and volunteer for first aid. I think they do an outstanding job, and they'll continue to do an outstanding job. Let's not know that. Same thing with fire services. Think the fire department's going to get there slower? I suggest you volunteer for the fire department. The only thing this affects is the police department, and there will be no reduction in the amount of time it takes for them to respond to anything. And they'll always be, not always, but in general, they're going to beat the first aid in the fire department to any call for service in Belmar. A few other comments. There has been a suggestion that we should put this to a vote for the residents of referendum, let the people decide. I would tell you that people decide every November. And every November, they elect their officials, whether you like it or not, who sit up here. And it's our responsibility to govern the town. And taking action on this contract is exactly that, governing the town. I think it would be irresponsible of us to punt and put it on the taxpayers. Now, say naysayers say, well, yeah, but Lake Como got to vote on it. No, they didn't. No, they did not. Lake Como voted on whether or not they should increase taxes. By not increasing taxes, overwhelmingly, they voted de facto to eliminate the police department. There was never a mention of the word police in that referendum. It was strictly taxes. Now, another comment was that we should just take over Lake Como. Phenomenally bad idea. Really bad idea. Everyone's taxes in Belmar will skyrocket if we take over Lake Como as a town. Terrible idea for taxpayers. Today, the mayor and their business administrator had to go out to DCA to apply for extraordinary aid. Even raising taxes 2%, they need to apply for extraordinary aid, and they have to sign a memorandum of understanding with DCA that gives DCA pretty broad powers over running their town, because they just don't have the financial tools and resources to pay for their services. Now, you say, who's to blame? If you ask me, really, it's the state. The state used to supply Lake Como with tons of aid. And that's where all of our income tax goes. Used to supply with tons of aid. They cut it off. There's no more financial aid going to Lake Como from the state. So to think that we should take it over is a horrible financial idea. So with that, I don't know if the council would like to make any comments before we open up for public comment or the council has any questions on the contract itself.
No, they were just a too small town to provide 24/7, 365-day police protection. They just could not afford it. Is this correct? Yeah. And we did not tell the people from Lake Como how to vote. This is correct, right? Yeah. I'm question.
And the only thing I have to say is, if the people in Lake Como voted for not to have a tax increase, and they disbanded their police department, I think we would be in a lot of trouble if we were not working on this contract.
Lake Como will still have a first aid, correct?
Yes.
And they will still have a fire department.
Correct.
Right.
That's a great question. That has nothing to do with this contract. And I think
And they'll still have a DPW also.
Correct. I think Councilwoman Keon Blackburn makes a good point, because even if we didn't execute a contract with them, we probably would still have to go up to 25 police officers anyway to deal with what would be coming out of that town. And I'm not picking on the town, I'm saying it's of any town. You disband a police department and you have no policing services, you're gonna have problems, and those problems aren't gonna stay south of an imaginary line. And we can't build a wall.
You know, look, I have the utmost faith in Chief Heisman. If he says he needs this, and then they can do the job, you give him this, that's what the contract will do. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's any question that if the chief says we can do it, we can do it. And I agree with all the other comments that have already been made. It's one way to look at this is, Lake Como's problem, because, we could be making lemonade out of lemons, but it's their lemons and our lemonade.
Since the beginning of this, I've asked so many questions, not just to understand it, but to make sure that the outcomes or the options were there, which is, I'm glad that Belmar was able to step in. But just that, again, just for the protection of the people in the town and the children, that we wouldn't miss the beat, policing that area. So I am happy with the outcome, and hopefully the residents of Lake Como are as well.
And that's another good point, is how much time we spent on due diligence and ensuring that this is done the right way. Meeting with folks at the state level, working with our police department on it. It really has been a good team effort to get it here today, so I'm very confident that moving forward, we're going to be in a great position as well.
If we had merged, how would they have, who would be our police chief?
I don't know.
Who had the most seniority? With a merger, wouldn't the chief with the most seniority have become the chief? I think that, because when we talked about it years ago, I thought that was one of the issues. If someone from Lake Como with, let's say, who was a sergeant, would they be, and we have a sergeant, but their sergeant had more seniority, how would that have affected?
That's a great question. That's the reason why a lot of them, mergers don't work. Mergers don't work. And that's why it's important to note that this is not a merger. This is a contract for service. This isn't an interlocal agreement, it's a contract for service. So with that, let me open up to the public. Any comments or questions on the resolution authorizing the signing of the contract with the Borough of Lake Como for policing services? Yep.
Joan Carano, A Street. How long is the contract for? The newspaper said 10 years, but the night we had a little talk, I think they said 5 years.
It's 10 years, and every 5 years it gets reviewed.
Okay, financially, Lake Como has issues, you just stated as much. Is there any kind of a guarantee that, we're gonna get our money? They may supposedly, maybe a year from now, default, and maybe can't pay their share of the 25%?
We're very confident that the money that they have would be able to cover this. I mean, they're going to.
But otherwise,
save
if
a
something
tremendous amount of
happened, it would fall on us as taxpayers to pick that up, whatever.
Well, I don't know what you mean it would fall on us as taxpayers.
Well, we have a contract 5-10 years. Lake Como financially is not the world's best. 2 years from now, when the payment is due, I don't know how they pay it, monthly, yearly,
Quarterly.
quarterly. And what if they don't have the money for a payment? What do we
If they
do?
default on it,
Yeah, that's what I said.
then we stop servicing it.
So we just stop doing whatever we're doing? or-
Stop servicing it. Just like right now, we provide 911 dispatch services for Spring Lake Heights. It's default, just like anything. If you stop paying your electric bill, you're going to stop providing electricity. It's not a concern.
Maybe I misunderstood you, because you said any way you look at it, we have to add the police, and we need to police that community no matter what kind of a deal it was.
Well, I'm not saying
So
we
we would
I'm
not
saying
be
we deal
laying
with,
off our own.
if we weren't proactive and took an aggressive approach to policing their community, we would be dealing with the effects of that. And I'm saying that would be a problem if you live in the southern part of town. Where you live, it would be a problem. Absolutely. And that's why
I have concerns,
and you rightfully
Even
should.
with the amount
But
of
the one
people that
concern,
might be on,
the one concern you should not have is whether or not they're gonna make the payment in 2 years. That is not, you don't have to concern yourself with
I don't know, if you say so. Thank you.
that. Sure. Yes.
Good evening. I'm
Good evening,
just,
Madam
sorry, Joy DeSantis, 101 6th Avenue. I really take exception with you calling people naysayers. Do you even know what the definition of that is?
Do you want me to define it for you?
Yeah.
I'm not interested in defining it. I do
Okay.
know.
Well, I'm not interested in you criticizing people because they have an opposition position. And I think it's really unprofessional and immature for you to call people a naysayer when they have a concern about services or have what they feel is a genuine concern about care and concern of a response to arriving at a police call. I think you need to start to try to maintain a little bit more respect for the people and the residents in this town and not be so quick to criticize them. And they say you're a person who has a really negative attitude. And these people don't have negative attitudes, they have genuine concerns. You could Google it, I just did, so I would have it and know it and speak accurately. So try not to do that because it portrays you as an unprofessional person and a very disrespectful person. And I think people are getting tired of that. I know I for one am.
We heard from a naysayer. Any other comments, questions?
Naysayer.
Mike Torrio, PBA delegate. I was just gonna come and listen. I didn't plan on saying anything tonight, but something you said just confused me. I just want to clarify. The specials,
Yeah,
are they gonna be Lake Como specials or Belmar specials?
Belmar specials.
They are gonna be Belmar. There's not gonna be any Lake Como specials. And those Belmar specials are gonna patrol Lake Como.
Correct.
Okay. Have you looked into Title 40 and how you're gonna get around that? Because Title 40 would not allow that.
I don't think we're having any problem with Title 4. I trust our police department to be able to manage it.
The state law prohibits specials from going into another county doing patrol work.
I would tell you that our chief has already met with the county prosecutor regarding this. I understand it's a bureaucratic stumbling block that we're just going to hurdle.
Okay. The PBA will look into that though. Just so you know.
Great.
Okay.
Yep.
David Shack, 302 C Street. Just one point I want to make. Lake Como voted to turn down the budget increase. They knew that Belmar would be here to patrol their streets. You know, if we hadn't made that offer, then they, you know, would have most likely voted for the tax increase rather than not have their town policed. I don't think anybody in many of these towns is crazy enough to vote not to have a police department. So the people of Lake Como understood that they could vote against a tax increase and that Belmar would be here to go in and police their streets for them. So to say that if we didn't do it, they wouldn't have a police department, I just personally think that's a ridiculous statement. Thank you.
Oh, it's a factual statement. Any other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Thank you, 16th Avenue. Mr. Mayor, I guess Lake Como was going to save about $1.5 million a year, is that correct?
Based on the 2015 budget numbers from Belmar and what their anticipated budget would be in 2016 going forward, that's correct. But it's a more theoretical number than a practical number.
Okay, how much are we going to save on this deal?
We're not going to save anything on this deal. We're generating revenue, we're not saving.
Okay, how much are we generating?
In the first year, you'll see the money that is brought into Lake Como that exceeds the expenses on our line items. I'm sorry to talk like this, but I can't speak like it's a business because it's, well, we try to run the business, it's not. So what you would see is in the 2016 budget, we will use $100,000 less in surplus than we would have had we not executed this contract. We anticipate another $100,000 going into the 2016 budget, being conservative, in December, and then in next year, we'd anticipate somewhere close to $400,000 going into surplus.
And probably year after year about that same amount.
Somewhere between 4 and 450.
So they're saving 3 times more than we're saving every year.
We're not saving money. Can't say we're saving money. We're not saving money. We're generating revenue. They are saving more money than we're generating.
Okay, it's just a matter of semantics. But yeah, we're taking on all the responsibility, policing both towns, liabilities, the lawsuits and all that. Just doesn't seem right to me.
I
guess I'm one of the
It's right
days.
to have a town
Excuse me?
with no policing services just south of the island.
So I don't really care about Lake Como, to be honest with you. I don't need to offend anybody
Honestly,
here that,
if you're smart, you should.
well,
You should
I should care about Neptune,
services or
right?
not.
I should care about Neptune and.
They have their own policing services.
Today.
Yeah, if Neptune goes without a policing service, yeah, we should worry about that, you're right.
Okay.
It's not a logical thing to worry about.
I guess I'm one of the naysayers that you think you were trying to pick on over here, because I've been up here a bunch of times, and one of the times I
Thin-skinned
came up.
naysayers.
Excuse me?
Say you're thin-skinned naysayers. You think I'm picking on you by calling you naysayers? You are. It's not a big deal. What are your comments?
You're so rude.
Everybody thought it wasn't. I've been up here a couple of times complaining that you're not putting enough policemen on the street. We presently have 20, they have 10 patrolling the streets, and you're gonna replace that with 25. You're basically gonna be putting one less officer on the road combined that are presently on the road. And you're talking about heroin flourishing down in the south part of Belmar here, if Lake Como. Heroin could be on the other terrace, heroin's all over the place. So don't pick other people in Lake Como.
I'm not picking on people in Como. I know you're distorting what I'm saying. What I said was that there's usage all over the place. And there is usage on Inlet Terrace. You're right, where I live. It's everywhere. But there's not distribution. My concern, and it should be a concern of yours, even though you don't seem to care what happens in Como, is if people start distributing in that town because there are no police services.
How do you know that? Are you an expert on this field?
You want to take that risk?
Are you an expert on this field?
You want to take that risk?
I'm asking you a question. You're the one spouting
Am
all
I an
these,
expert in this field?
you're the one spouting all these truthisms. How
I'm
do you
saying I'm
know
not
there's
going to
gonna
take
be
the
a...
risk. If you want to take the risk, go ahead. I'm not going.
You know what you're talking about, Mr. Mayor.
I
no
have
idea
a
what
much
you're talking
better grasp
about.
of this than you do. Yes,
I
no doubt.
don't think so.
Keep going.
You claim that there's gonna be less response, when you might need the police for a, an injured child, or, well, let me tell
I
you
did not
something.
claim to be less responsible.
Well, you did make some kind of comment, that the first aid, they'll be there, no matter what. Police officers the police officers are the first ones to respond to most medical emergencies.
It says it, correct.
Okay, I thought you had claimed that,
Were you listening to what I said?
I believe I was listening.
What I said was that the police response
Hmm.
to anyone calling 911 in Belmar will not be any different if this contract is executed.
But there's less police on the
The
street.
people, let me finish, the people who complain, like yourself, who's come to the microphone,
I'm
complain
complaining
about,
when they say,
oh, what
correct.
about first aid, and what about this? It has nothing to do with this contract.
Mhm.
They're volunteer organizations. It's not gonna make it any better or any worse. And again, if you complain, you don't think that first aid is responding fast enough, I would suggest you call Franny Hines and say how you can volunteer.
I'm not complaining about the response from the first aid center. You can put less police officers on the street, you can have a slower response time when you need them, because they may be tied up in other areas.
Do you think that all 10 police officers in Lake Como are on the street at the same time?
Excuse me? Of
Do
course
you
not.
believe,
There's two on the
so are
shift.
we putting less police officers on the streets?
Combined you will
You
be.
don't know that. You don't know that. You don't
Maybe
know.
ask the lieutenant here, because he'll probably tell you.
You're not gonna, our police department will.
I listened to the chief here, he said he was gonna put one more guy on the road.
There's gonna be an adequate number of policing for 1.25 square miles. That's what
How
it
do
is.
you know that?
Because I trust our police department to do the right thing. You know, that's your problem, not mine.
No, I think you have their hands tied on this whole issue. I'm sure they would like 30, I'm sure they would like 30 guys on the police department. That's what we have now, we have 10 over there and 20 here. I'm sure if you asked them, they'd say, we'd like 30 officers.
We can't
What
afford
is,
30
but
officers.
what does that
Of
matter?
course you can.
What does that matter?
The response, because you're telling me the safety's gonna be the same either way. You're wrong.
Not wrong. Not
I
wrong.
don't know, maybe I'm confused. Well, thanks for respectfulness.
With that, I will make a motion to close the public session for this resolution. Oh,
Second.
I'm sorry. Yeah, for this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I will offer resolution authorizing signing the contract with the Borough of Lake Como for policing services.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Keeler-Blackford?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Vernon?
Yes.
Councilman Legler?
Yes.
Mayor Gurke?
Yes. Next is the consent agenda. Two things that are noteworthy on it. First is the resolution introducing the 2016 local municipal budget. The budget this year, for the 6th year in a row, will have no tax increase. 6 years in a row. That is remarkable. There are few, if any, towns in Monmouth County that can say that. Monmouth County government cannot say that, and there are few, if any, towns in the entire state of New Jersey that can say they've had no tax increase in 6 years. In fact, since I've become mayor, and only with the help of this council, we've actually saved taxpayers $204,000 over the last 6 years. So the amount to be raised by taxes this year is $7,200,315. The amount to be raised by taxes back in 2010 was $7,253,791. So when you look at it, we're about $50,000 less than that. But over the years, because we brought it down, not brought it down 1 year to bring it back up the next, but we brought it down over time and kept it down, we've saved the taxpayers in Belmar over $204,000 over the last 6 years. I can tell you, if other towns, there's few and far between that have kept taxes flat for 6 years, there's virtually none that have actually saved taxpayers money over those 6 years. We've done that, again, and we did it while managing through Irene, which was a bad storm, but also managing through the worst natural disaster in the history of our state and being on the front lines for it, of course that being Sandy. So it's even more remarkable when you look at it from that perspective. We did it, and we continue to do it, through making hard choices and good management. So I want to congratulate and thank our business administrator, Colleen Conley, our CFO, Robin Kirk, our DPW director, Superintendent Michael Campbell, and our new Chief of Police, Drew Heisman, but also the former Chief of Police, Tommy Palmisano, who was great to work with on their budgets to ensure that we always were able to provide no increase for the taxpayers. In addition, we also generate in this budget more revenue outside of property taxes than ever before. And because of the policing contract that I explained tonight, that's going to grow into next year. So what's nice is, as we forecast down future years, when it comes to the revenue side, we're really in great shape outside of property taxes, which will allow us to keep property taxes in check for years to come. We've also generated now more revenue in the pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes. That's from the redevelopment. And as I mentioned before, we have more redevelopment queued up as well that will also keep property taxes in check. So that's on for introduction. Again, nothing but hard choices and good management by our professional staff here. Really no other town can say that. And I'll tell you, if you look at other towns, you know, I'll use an example of Howell. Howell Township is looking at a $1 million tax increase just this year. So when people say bigger is better, that is certainly not necessarily true. We're able to do it much more efficiently on a smaller basis than a big town like that, or a town like Middletown that's also looking at a large tax increase. And by the way, at the same time, we've expanded services. I mean, we do more now for seniors than ever before. We have an outstanding recreation director. Outstanding Recreation Director, who continues to expand programs for children as well. And, you know, our Department of Public Works does an amazing job. The town is literally never looked better than it does now, and we continue to improve. So this budget puts us on that path going forward. Second item of note is the change order regarding the pavilion. Cue the music. Dun, dun, dun. This is a change order. Now, the naysayers will say, aha, do it, change order. This is a negative change order, which means we're going to be paying less for the products and services. This is a good, those are the two that I really wanted to point out on the consent agenda. Also, you know, we're doing our Operation Thank You Again, authorizing free beach admission for all active military personnel and dependents. Great thing we do. In previous years, we held something called Military Appreciation Day. We're not going to be doing that going forward. Unfortunately, those type of events are targeted. And the commanders in New Jersey, New York, tell their members and their families not to go to them. Rightfully so. It's just the world we live in where they're considered targets. And we don't have the capacity to provide adequate protection for something like that. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that going forward. So those are the two I wanted to mention on there, but I'll also open this up for any public comment question on the consent agenda for our resolution count. Any? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public session for the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye. Next, I will offer the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Councilman Kell Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes, and particularly happy for Operation Thank You and for the first responders. Very happy with that. Yes.
Councilman Nicolay? Yes. Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Next are ordinances. First ordinance, or only ordinance 2016-05, calendar year 2016 ordinance to establish the municipal budget appropriations limit and establish a cap bank. This is just for first reading introduction, but I'll give a brief explanation as to what the heck this means. We do this every year. What it allows us to do is to cap appropriations. We're only allowed to appropriate so much money every year. Same thing with taxes. You've heard of the 2% cap. Well, you can roll that forward. So let's say 1 year you don't increase it 2%. Let's say you only increase it 1%. The next year you can increase it 3%. But you can't roll it forward after that. So you can use it within a 2-year period. Same thing with the appropriation. This rarely ever comes to something we need to do. But in this case, it actually did for this year. Because we have capped because we banked our appropriations cap from last year into this year, we have enough wiggle room that we can add the expense items onto the 2016 budget for policing services without needing any waiver from DCA, from Trenton. Because if we didn't have that cap bank, we wouldn't have enough room for that appropriation, even though there's more than enough revenue to cover that appropriation. So, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what Trenton makes us do. So that's, I'll offer for first reading and introduction.
Second.
Councilman Kell Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Next is public session. Any comments you may have, please go up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and then talk about whatever you like. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Katrina Classes, 1304 B Street. I have a question. As you guys probably know, I am on the Committee of Petitioners protesting 2016-01, which was in front of Judge Goomer last Thursday. And one of her orders was to remove 2016-01 from the Belmar website as an ordinance, and it's still here, and I'm wondering if there's something I'm missing and it has not been removed.
That's a matter under litigation right now, so we can't comment.
Even though a judge ordered
It's a
it.
matter under litigation, we're not going to comment on in public.
Oh, and one more thing, I just want to ask, I know that no taxes is great, but how much is our debt? I mean, is our debt increased in the last 6 years from, does anybody know from what to what?
Well, our debt increased significantly after Sandy, and then we paid a significant amount of it down.
Right.
So, if you go on our website, am I correct, that we have a full listing of our, of the municipal debt? You can access it very easily on the website.
Right, because it's 49 million, if I'm not mistaken, so I realize that our taxes haven't gone up, but our debt has increased significantly, so eventually, we're gonna have to pay all those bonds and everything back, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank
Well,
you.
and the important part about that to mention as you walk away is that the debt that we incurred are for capital projects. There's no debt that was incurred for operating expenses. So one of the ways municipalities get themselves in trouble is they have a budget hole, so they need to bond for something. One of the things municipalities have done in the past, not a very good idea, is they would do buyouts. Let's say they buy out some police officers, and you know, it's highly compensated police officers, and maybe the buyout's a total of $500,000, $600,000. Well, they don't have that in the budget. So what they would do is they would bond for that. I think that's an inappropriate use of bonding. But the bonding we've done, whether it's for rebuilding after Sandy or infrastructure needs, water, sewer needs, it's all long-term capital investment, which is the proper purpose of bonding. And I would tell you the best way to take a look at our financial strength, particularly when it comes to our debt side, is to look at the rating agency, Moody's, which gives us a AA3 rating. Robin, Kirk, and I, the CFO, are going to sit down and meet with them and try to move that to AA2. It saves us a little bit of money, not a tremendous amount. I don't think we'll ever get to a AAA rating because we don't have as diverse enough economy. But when we do execute contracts like the one with Lake Como, where we start showing we can generate revenue outside of our municipal taxes, while we have a stable tax base, while we have a lot of redevelopment going on, and while we have property values increasing, now is a good time to go out and get our credit rating reassessed. We really had to wait until the budget came through. We didn't know what was going to happen with Lake Como. Now that we've done that, we're going to try to sit down with them maybe sometime over the summer and try to improve that credit rating. But that's probably the best judge of how a town is, or any municipal government or government agency is managing their debt is based on the credit rating agencies. Any other comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
May I say, I have a little service
Yes.
on my show. First of all,
Name and address for the record.
yes, Claire Dyke, 1017 14th Avenue. I wanted to say, as a almost 50-year resident, I appreciate the fact that the taxes are not going up for the 6th year. So thank you. I would like to comment on this naysayer situation. It's interesting to me that came up, which is mild in comparison to what I've been called on a certain blog. Yeah. And also, just recently, we've had a stream of positive letters in the Co-Star. And I appreciate that because people want the town and residents to know about all the good things. On the blog, these letters were referred to as puke letters, that these letters made the opposition sick. They were going to vomit over them, they were going to, I think Mr. Kramer called them puke letters, and then people got on board and said, oh, great wording, Eugene, this is wonderful. But I find it a little bit hypocritical that people who use fake names have called you, Mr. Mayor, the latest is you and I are full of hot air, the two of us. Okay, maybe I am. But it's almost unbelievable that someone would come up to the microphone and criticize the use of naysayer when that particular blog has called people names, has called people stupid, has called people alcoholics, on and on and on and on, and the people who get up to criticize the word naysayer are supportive of those people. So I just wanted to comment on that. But the idea that we had people writing positive letters made your opposition sick to their stomachs. So I thought you'd enjoy that.
I did enjoy that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you for letting me sit.
Yeah, you're very welcome. We try to be accommodating.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions for the council during public session? Yes, sir.
Ron Safron from Brick. I was here concerned about the fuel pumps for the boats.
Yes.
It's posted online, February 19th, that they would be closed for 4 weeks for maintenance. We keep calling the office, and they say another 4 to 6 weeks. It's been almost 3 months, so I was gonna see how much longer until they're open.
Great question. We actually have our DPW director here, and we'll ask him to answer your question.
We're hoping the pumps will be back in service on Friday, or the latest next Friday.
Okay, thank you.
And again, we apologize for the situation we're in right now. Believe me, if we had the gas pumps up and running, we'd be making money. So
Oh,
we
yeah, I
apologize
know.
that they're not.
And it's a big inconvenience going down south. They're
It's a
trying to
huge
call a fuel
industry,
truck.
And I appreciate your business in Belmar, and I appreciate you staying with us.
Oh, it's wonderful.
The marina's gonna look terrible this summer, but after this, it's gonna be great. Parking's gonna be terrible, but come 2017, it's gonna be, we're gonna be like it. So again, thank you for sticking with us, thank you for your
No
patience.
problem. I was also getting concerned, because I heard rumors that we closed the whole rest of the season, and I said, they can't do that, they can't afford to do that.
I didn't have that in my list of rumors.
I'm sorry, it's not.
They're on my list of rumors. All right, all right. So you heard that the marina's gonna be closed.
Well, the fuel pumps.
All right. The fuel pumps are gonna be closed for this season. Not true. There you go, thank you, that's rumor number 5. First time here, you made the rumor list, that's impressive.
Thank you. I do appreciate it, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Angela Pfeiffer, 319 Fifth Avenue. I should know this, but I don't. Does Lake Como have their own municipal court?
You should know this.
Do they?
That's a good question.
So what happens?
Great question. So their municipal court is actually here. They use this space. They use our staff. But if you get a ticket in Lake Como, it's a different number. So it's a different court than this one. If a Belmar, now that we passed a resolution signing it, when a Belmar police officer writes a ticket for someone in Lake Como, that court revenue will go to Lake Como.
Lake Como ticket.
Right.
So a Belmar police officer writes a ticket in Lake Como, and Lake Como gets the revenue?
Correct.
But they're-
I would have preferred that we get the revenue, but the state will not permit that. It's a separate court. So if you look at the contract, we can't mention, we don't mention court revenue. I mean, if anything, we just mention that they keep it. So the only revenue we're generating in the contract is going to be the money that covers specials, which is dollar for dollar. We don't make any money off that. Whatever it costs us, it costs them. But again, it protects our downside from the risk of the prices to service them escalating. Where we do generate the revenue that we keep is that 25% of our police budget that they pay. Again, the 25% is stagnant. What they pay is going to fluctuate every year. And that comes in quarterly to us. That covers the expense to us for them, plus adds into our surplus that carries forward from 2016 into 2017.
Okay, so we don't have any extra expense for covering them. They're still going to do their own municipal court, pay for it themselves.
They do that already.
Right, so that stays the same,
That stays the same.
and we don't get that revenue.
We're not permitted to get it revenue. Believe me, blame me. For that revenue, I would have dropped it to 15% with that revenue, but we're not permitted. Great question. Any other comments, questions? All right, with that, I'll make a motion to close the public portion and adjourn.